everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I am so happy to have you guys here. As you guys can tell by the title of today's video, we are going to be doing another monthly wrap-up, so let's go ahead and get started. I've got my little book stack here. It's actually a good amount of books this time. I feel like I got a lot of reading this past month and I'm so excited to show you all the books, so let's dive into them. So the first book that I read is The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas. This was a pretty good read for me. It was a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the book overall. There is some smut in here and it's kind of funny too, and it's like workplace romance slash rivals or enemies to lovers type of book, and it also is like fake dating. So I really enjoyed that. I love a good enemies to lovers situation. But yeah, I really did like this book. I actually ended up reading the second book, The Roommate Experiment. I read that one first, thinking that it was the first one, but it wasn't. I did enjoy that one too. So then when I saw that this was on Book Outlet, I had to pick it up because it was only like $5. Highly recommend checking out Book Outlet. They have really good prices and the books come in pretty great condition. So this story follows Lena Martin and Aaron Blackford. He is her boss, or he's going to be her boss because he got a little promotion at work, but they are co-workers and they don't like each other. He's kind of like always a smart ASS with her all the time, and she just like doesn't like him because she feels like all he does is work, 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 and he's not like friendly, because when she first met him, she like gives him this gift and he's just kind of like, oh, okay, thanks. He's not very emotional, doesn't show his emotions, so she's just like, okay, rude, I was so nice to you and you're over here just like being like, okay, great, and not thankful. So from then on, she just didn't like him. So they're co-workers, they don't like each other. She actually is from Spain and she has this big family. There's going to be a wedding. Her sister is getting married, and her sister is getting married to her ex's brother. So she needs a date for the wedding. So you see what I'm going here? She needs a date to the wedding. So of course it's gonna be Mr. Aaron Blackford. He actually overhears her talking with her best friend about it, and he signs up for it. He's pretty much like, oh, I can help you with that. Like, you can help me. I need like a date to this charity event, and then I'll be your date to the wedding. And she's kind of like, oh, no, thank you, because I don't like you. But at the same time, she like really needs a date to the wedding because her family is just like all talk and talk and talk and talk. And they're like, when are you gonna get married? Why did you leave us? Because something happened to her before she met Aaron. So they work in New York together, and when she was in Spain, something happened to her and she left, and her whole family's kind of like, oh, poor Lena, like, pobrecita, she had to escape because this terrible thing happened to her. So she's pretty much like, I hate people looking at me and being like, oh, poor Lena, this happened to her, like, pobrecita. So she's like, you know what, I want to show up and just be like, I'm doing good in life. So that's why she needs her fake date, and things happen, and it's just, oh, I love it so much. It was such a vibe. He's also like super tall, and I kind of like a little workplace romance too, because that's actually how I met my husband. So, you know, it's just a vibe. But yeah, it was such a fun book. They do end up traveling to Spain, like I said, for the wedding. So it's a nice little, I feel like this would be a good book to read during the summer, but you can honestly read it anytime. But yeah, this was a good one, so I would recommend this one. The second book that I read is Heartstopper by Alice Osman, or Osman. I'm not quite sure how you say her name, but I gave this little book a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it and I ate it up. It's seriously the absolute cutest. This is actually a young adult little graphic novel series, and there's 5 books out right now. I'm currently on book number 4. But last month I read books 1 through 3 and I really loved them. Like, they're just so cute. There's also a show out on Netflix right now. There's 2 seasons. I believe the 3rd season comes out this year. I'm not sure, maybe in the summer. And I'm loving it, but it's not as good as the book. So I highly recommend reading the books. I will be buying them, like purchasing them and having physical copies because they're so cute. But yeah, I rated this a 5 out of 5. Super cute, loved it, adorable. The series follows Charlie and Nick, and they are like best friends and they go to an all-boys school together. There's also an all-girls school that like meets up for like events and stuff. So that's where the little friend groups comes in. It's like people from both schools, but they start off as friends and then develop feelings for each other. Nick is actually like a sporty, very popular boy. He's older than Charlie actually, so he's in a grade above him, but he plays rugby, and Nick is just like the sweetest, like most adorable boy ever. He's just so sweet, and he actually was outed the year before he met Nick, and the boys at the school were like bullying him. They were so mean, but he's like still such a sweet soul. And they meet one day at school, they see each other, and it's literally like, what is it called when you love at first sight? It's love at first sight for them. It's just so cute, and from then on they develop a friendship, they start developing feelings, and the whole series just kind of goes throughout their little love story. And then there's also little stories that you kind of get with the other like characters. There's these little side stories, and I just love the representation in this book. I love that it's like fluffy and romantic and cutesy, but it also touches on like some important subjects, you know? So I really recommend reading this one. It's super cute, and it has, obviously it's a young adult novel, so there's no spice in it, but it is very fluffy and romantic and cutesy. So I really like this. I read books 1, 2, and 3. But yeah, I love it. The next book that I read is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I am not going to lie, I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I didn't really like it. I'm a little sad because this is my first Tessa Bailey book ever, and I've heard like that her books are really smutty and they're fun and they're crazy and wild, and I just wasn't feeling this book. I feel like the 2 main characters didn't really have any chemistry, at least from my point of view, and so I couldn't really get into the story. I was honestly just like reading and kind of zoning out throughout it because I just wasn't vibing with it. I've heard mixed reviews on it though. Some people seem to really like it. She has a second book, so this is like a little duology, I think. She has a second book called Unfortunately Yours, and that book is about his sister and this like Navy SEAL guy, and they actually meet in this book, and it briefly like talks about both of them, but like not really. So I've heard that the second book is like way spicier and way better, so I might pick it up. I'm not sure. I'm like a little nervous because I didn't enjoy this book, so I'm not sure if I want to pick the next one up, but people do say that that one is better than this one, so maybe I will. But this story follows Hallie and Julian. They met, I think, when they were like 14 or something at a party, and they had a kiss, and she's been in love with him pretty much since then, like forever, and she's had like no serious relationships. She's just had like hookups and, you know, situationships. So she has been in love with him. He comes back to town because they live in like a wine town, and his family is like rich and they have this like huge vineyard. So he comes back and he's like living on one of the guest houses on the property, and she is a gardener. She took over her grandma's like gardening business, and she gets hired to do like by his mom to do the garden at one of their houses where he's staying at. And he is like visiting because I think he's a professor and he had like something happen to him or like one of his friends or something, so he took a little sabbatical and he's writing a little story. He's writing like a novel, and he's very like grumpy. It's very Grumpy Sunshine. She's very much sunshine, bubbly, golden retriever energy, and he's just like very he does not like that. He's a complete opposite. The whole point of the story is that she writes these secret love letters, and she like puts them in a path where he like jogs, and he finds it, and he slowly like starts to develop feelings for this little secret admirer. But then he's also developing feelings for her because she's like going to the house and stuff to do the gardening and everything. And yeah, that's pretty much how it goes. And yeah, he starts developing feelings for a secret admirer, doesn't know that it's her. Like, it was a good story, but I just feel like it didn't fully connect for me, and I just didn't really love it. So that's why I gave it a 3. It was kind of cute though, but I don't know, I just didn't love it. But I gave this one a 3 out of 5 stars, and this is like a read at your own risk type of vibe. I can't say I don't recommend it, but I also can't say that I do recommend it. So I don't know. It was perfect for like Valentine's Day vibes, so at least I got some cute content out of it, and maybe I'll pick up the second book. Let me know down below if you've read the second one and if you actually liked it more than this one, because if I at least get one person that says that, maybe I'll pick up the book. So the next book that I read is The Love Hypothesis by Miss Hazelwood. I feel like So far, this is my favorite read of hers. I rated this a 5 out of 5. I also read Love on the Brain by her, and I really did like that one too. I love her male characters because I love smart, nerdy boys that are also like tall and hot, and that's Mr. Adam right here. So I gave this book a 5 out of 5. Ali Hazelwood writes STEM romance, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. So it's kind of like nerdy romance vibes, and I freaking love it so much. I eat it up. I do recommend if you have a Kindle to read it on the Kindle, because if you're not so smart like me, a lot of the words you're like, what does that mean? So I normally will highlight it and then it gives you the description. I'm like, okay, yeah, I knew that. So that's what I love to do. So I'll usually do physical and my Kindle, but I absolutely love this book. It was so good. Basically, he is her boss. Oh, actually no, he's not her boss on a project in this one, but he is her not her professor, but he's a professor at the university where she's like studying and stuff. And she meets him in the bathroom because she like got stuff on her face or something like that, and she like was trying to wash it off, and he walks into the bathroom and he's like, oh, what are you doing in my bathroom? And she's like, the fudge, like, who are you being like my bathroom? Like, this is the school's bathroom. Like, who do you think you are, dude? So she kind of doesn't like him. She's just kind of like, who is this? But lo and behold, he falls for her first, and basically the rest of the story is they have to fake date because her best friend is dating her ex, and they only went out for like a week or something like that. But well, she has feelings for him, but she doesn't want to fully date him because she thinks that Olive is still like having feelings for him, which she kind of did have feelings for him, but she's also like, my best friend is so sweet, she's such a girl's girl, and I don't want her to lose out on this little relationship because of me, so I need to convince her that I'm over him so she can date him. So basically she kisses Adam when she starts going to the school. She kisses him because he was like the only guy around or something like that when her friend was coming out of the hallway, and then she needs to get in the fake relationship with him because that's who her friend thinks that she's with, and it's just fun and cute. It's like a little cringy sometimes, but I just love these books. I love them so much. I didn't know Ali Hazelwood is actually a Kylo and Rey like shipper. She loves them, and so do you guys know who he looks like? And his name, the character is named Adam. We know that he is based on Adam Driver, at least looks wise. So she writes books like that, like where the characters, you know, look like him. And I know it's like a little, Adam Driver is either people are like, he's ugly, or like, why do people think he's hot? And then there's the rest of us who are like, oh my god, he's so freaking hot. So yeah, that's also why I love her books. But I love this. 5 out of 5. I highly recommend Miss Ali Hazelwood, and specifically this one because this was a good book. Next book that I read is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This was a really good read. I rated it 4 out of 5 stars. Something about it was just like a little off to where I wasn't like, oh my god, that was the best book ever. Actually, I remember now. It wasn't a dual point of view, and I feel like it would have been way better if it was a dual point of view. So getting, you know, the inside, like inside the King of or Prince of England's mind, because the point of view, everything was just from Alex, who is the president's son. But I really enjoyed this book. It was very witty. There was some like spy smut in it. And it was just so like, I loved it. It's very much enemies to lovers. Like, they do not vibe. They are not friends. But then they get into this little situation at one of his, I think it's his brother's wedding. And then the PR team for like both people are like, you guys need to get your act together, and you guys need to fake that you're friends, because everyone is thinking that you guys don't like each other, and we can't have pretty much the US and England being like, we don't like each other. So they were like, you guys need to like have a fake friendship. And it's a romance, so we can guess what happens, but it's really fun. It's really witty. I seriously loved Alex's character. I know there's a few people out there who didn't like him because they feel like he was just very like egocentric and like just all about himself, which he kind of is, but I just think he's so funny. And I actually watched the movie on, I think it was Prime, and I did like it, but I didn't love it as much as the book. I feel like there was just a little bit more in the book that was fun and I vibed with, but the actor for this he is so funny. I think he was the guy that was in The Kissing Booth 2 and 3. I don't know if you guys have seen those. I actually only watched the first and second. I didn't even know that there was a third movie, so I'm actually gonna watch that because those are they're cheesy and they're cringy, but they're kind of fun. So yeah, but I really liked him. The character like in the movie is so freaking hot, or the actor, like he's so hot. But I love them together. They were just so cute, and it kind of gave like old school, like cutesy romance type of vibes. But yeah, I really like this book. I don't think it's a young adult because there's a lot of like kind of spice slash smut. There's a couple of scenes. But yeah, but it still has like that young fun vibe to it. But I rated it 4 out of 5 stars, and I think I would say I recommend this one. And the next book that I read, I actually have on the phone because I borrowed it from Libby and it's already gone from my Kindle. But that is Freids McFadden's The Teacher. This is my first ever Freids McFadden. I don't know if that's how you say her name. I think it is. But this is my first ever read from her. She's like a psychological thriller type of author, and I loved it. I normally save those types of books for like fall because it's just like the spooky October, November type of vibes. But I was seeing her name everywhere and I was like, I've never read that author. And then I started seeing people talk about this book specifically because this is one of her newer books, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick it up. I picked it up, I started reading, I was like, this is crazy, this is wild. And I also saw a few of my other book club girls were also reading it, so I was like, okay, I picked a good book, like other people are reading this, like that I know of in person, and they were also like, dude, this book is insane. This book is crazy. I gave it, I think, a 4 or 5 out of 5. Actually, let me look it up real quick. I did rate this book a 4 out of 5 stars because the topics in it, or like the characters in it, are like very much cringe and it's kind of gross in a way. This has like age gap relationship, like teacher relationships, and it's I don't know, it's just a little weird. And we also listened to the audiobook with my husband a little bit, and you guys needed to be there. He was literally like, these characters in this book, they're all gross. I do not like any of them. He's like, one's an HOE, the other one's a cheat, the other one's a psycho, the other one's a PEDO. And I was like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, this book is insane, but it was like also kind of good because it like made you can tell that it's a psychological thriller because it messes with your mind. You think that what's happening, you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get what's happening. Like, I think this is what's gonna happen. And then there's like a twist and you're like, wait, maybe what I'm thinking is not right. Maybe it's this. And then you're like, okay, yeah, it's gotta be this. And then you keep reading and then something else happens and you're like, wait, but maybe it's what I was thinking before. Like, it literally messes with your mind, and it was just good, but it's also like I said, very cringy, like, I don't know, it's kind of sus. So I think that's why I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. But I think I will be reading this author again because everybody seems to love her. And something that I did love about the book is that it was dual point of view. Like I just said, I love dual point of view because it's not just like the same vibe from like one character. You get like a different mindset from another character. It goes really fast, so it's very fast paced, and I really love those types of books because sometimes if they're too long and it just takes too long to get to the point, I start spacing out and I just like miss more of the book. But with this, you're like, okay, this is where we're at now. Okay, now the teacher's talking. Okay, now the student's talking. And it's very like just fast, and I really, really love those types of books. And I feel like I heard a lot of people say that her books are like that. So they're really quick and easy to get through. So I think I will be picking more up, but I'm gonna wait for the fall because I just picked up another book that's like thriller vibes, and it's by a different author, and it's like a little bit of a palate cleanser. I feel like one a month is actually pretty good because I do love my little thrillery, suspenseful, psychological mystery vibes. But yeah, The Teacher, wild one. I recommend it though. Just be warned, very cringy, and you know, age gap relationships, and you know, just be warned. But yeah, The Teacher, I rated it 4 out of 5, and I would recommend. And the last book that I read this month is If He Had Been With Me. I feel kind of bad because we're going to end this video on a little bit of a downer. I did not like this book. I rated this book, I think, a 2 out of 5 stars. I just didn't really like it. I know it's very like hit or miss type of vibes, which I'm sad that it was a miss for me because I just didn't vibe. I found it to be very like kind of cringy and super long and boring and kind of like the same story. I didn't care like about the main character, and it's all from her point of view, and I just don't like it. I'm not kidding you. I liked the beginning, and then I liked like probably like that much of the end. I literally liked that much and that much, but the rest in between was just, it was whatever for me. I didn't really like it. The beginning kind of gets you hooked and you're like, oh, something happens and you're like, oh, I want to know what happened. And then the end, you're finding out what happened and you're like, oh, so this is what really happened. And it's like a little bit sad. It did make me a little like emotional, a little teary-eyed. Like if you don't find it sad, you're cuckoo, because the situation in general is sad. But like I didn't cry or anything like that. So I did find it sad, but I wasn't like sobbing or anything like freaking Heartstopper. Was it Heartstopper? 1,000 Boy Kisses. 1,000 Boy Kisses. Oh, that book made me cry so hard. But yeah, this didn't make me cry. I know some people, they're like, oh my god, it made me sob. It didn't make me sob. But I didn't hate it. I also didn't love it though, at all. The second book I heard is from the guy's point of view and like other characters or something like that. So I feel like maybe I need to read it so that I can fully form an opinion and be like, okay, because it's pretty much the same story, I think. But at the same time, I'm like, do I really want to sit through that again and like waste time reading something that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to enjoy. I'm like confident that I'm not going to enjoy. So I don't know, but I'm going to read the back to you in case you are interested in this book. So it says, if he had been with me, everything would have been different. Autumn and Finn used to be inseparable, but then something changed, or they changed. Now they do their best to ignore each other. Autumn has her boyfriend Jamie and her close-knit group of friends. Finn has become that boy at school, the one that everyone wants to be around. That still doesn't stop the way Autumn feels every time she and Finn cross paths, and the growing nagging thought that maybe things could have been different. Maybe they should be together. And as time passes, Autumn realizes she might not get another chance to make things right before it's too late. This story, they're like childhood friends to lovers type of vibe. They were like friends, and like it said, over time, he's like the popular crowd and she's very much like the scene kid. Like she's in like that crowd. And I don't know, I didn't like her. Like this book was also a little too depressing for me and too sad. The end, like I said, it was sad, but at the same time it was like annoying because it makes you mad because you're like, this really didn't need to happen. Like, why did this happen? That sucks. Like, it's sad, but it also leaves you feeling like empty. I literally read it and I was like, oh, that was so sad. But then I was also like, I don't really know how to feel. Like, it's not making me fully sob because it's like, am I mad? Because why did they write this end for this character? But am I also like annoyed? I don't know. I just didn't know. I was like, I don't know how to feel. But yeah, I rated it a 2 out of 5 stars, and I personally don't recommend it. There's a lot of people, like I said, that did like it, so maybe give it a try. I don't know. But that was the last book that I read for the past month. So that's going to be all for today's video. I think I read a total of 9 books this past month, and that was crazy. Also, if you're wondering why I keep saying past month and not the actual name of the month, is because I can't say it, okay? Is it February? I don't know, but it jumbles up my words, so I'm just going to say this past month. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Make sure to leave a comment down below. I actually reply to you guys because I like talking with you guys and connecting. Let me know if you read any of these books and what your thoughts were, or if there's one that jumped out at you and you're like, okay girl, you had me adding to cart. So let me know if there's one that you're like, I'm going to read that because that sounds so good. So let me know your thoughts, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, magical, and wonderful day. Bye!